Okay, so I'm live. I'm here all on my lonesome because apparently I just got ghosted by WurzelRoot. So I called this episode "Where's a Wurzel?" And this is his profile pic he uses on Twitter. I'm gonna just because he didn't show up. I was 99.9% sure he wouldn't show up, but uh, I gave him a chance, and I've been trying to get this guy on for a year. So he's busy and he's cozy famous, as I like to say. He's cozy famous because he's on Cozy. He's one of the best streamers, I think, on Nick Fuentes' Cozy TV. I don't really watch anyone but Nick, but WurzelRoot's one of the guys that I will watch because he's entertaining. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to chit chat about the podcast. I might look into WurzelRoot's stuff. You can see the chat here that I've been going back and forth with him. He says maybe at 2 p.m. Eastern when I invited him to come on. So I asked to reschedule to 3 p.m. instead of 2 p.m., please. But he's seen all of this. He didn't respond to any of this. But over the past year, I've been bugging him, and very occasionally he'll respond. But I was surprised he actually agreed to come on. But I gave it a 99.9% chance that he wouldn't show up, that he'd ghost me, just because that's the vibe I get. When someone doesn't communicate, they're pretty much not going to show up. That's usually the way it is. Because anyway, I'm sending him a whole bunch of information, about how my day is going, what's going on, what's my schedule like, what am I doing with the wife, this, that, and the other thing. And it's just for fun, but it's also to sort of goad him into submission so that he'll eventually decide to come on. And he did agree to come on, so I'll keep hounding him. He's got a here, let me adjust the screen here. He's got let me adjust my screen for you. He's got let me get rid of myself. He's got this link tree here thing. So I've gone and oops. Yeah, here he is on Cozy.
Let's listen in America today.
What does he say? Just give you a sample.
No, I mean, like, obviously people are still, are you guys tapped into do you guys care about the big tech drama? How much do you guys give a shit? Am I live? Did everyone just decide to stop chatting at once? That's like the most pressing concern to me is like, does my girlfriend like hamsters?
So he's young, he's silly, and if you know Cozy, it's pretty trashy. It's a bunch of young people just blowing off steam and being silly and edgy. And
does she like kittens? Yeah, I do. Hey.
I've got a silly sense of humor, so I really like it. It's a bit much sometimes. It has to be in small doses, I guess you could say. But it's fun. Hey, I got Katie in the chat. She says, I have to tell you that the show last night was great. I found out more about Anthony and you, both gems. Thank you so much, Katie. Katie's a good friend on Twitter, and I'm hoping Katie will eventually come on to my podcast and just chat about the faith. And she seems like a wonderful lady, so it'll be fun. Katie says, I love WurzelRoot. When he's talking politics, he's on point, but I only listen sporadically. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm not into politics. I mean, I can't help it. Oh, Katie says she's not on Twitter. I got banned for life. Oh, okay. Okay, I think I'm mistaking Katie now for Katie. Who is your friend that was in the live chat last night? She also has a name that starts with K. Who was that? Do you remember? I could actually go on Twitter and take a look right now. See if I can find out. Do 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 do. Sorry, just let me see if I can find this. Do 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 do. It's a meta episode. Oh, it was Judith. Judith G. Judith G. So my bad. Sorry about that, Katie. Anyway, Katie, I would. Katie says she has no friends. I would love to have you on. Actually, I could, if you're willing, we could do that right now. Let me just see. How could that work? How would that work? Let me see if I can go over here, check the information, copy the info, put it in the live chat. This is what we could do. Uh-oh, she's saying no, she doesn't want to do it. Anyway, I put the link there. The link is there for anyone who wants to to live chat live. She's shy. Katie's too shy, so not a problem. I understand completely. I mean, the shy guests are the best guests, but I respect your shyness. So where was I? Oh yeah, so he's also got this Instagram. I don't go on Instagram, but let's see what he says. Where's the volume on this?
Tweets out CIA and Mossad and pedo elite are running some kind of Paul Pelosi getting hammered is
so it seems
not
to be
anti-American.
It seems to be all politics.
I think
politics,
one of the most
politics,
insane parts of the tyranny of America right now,
which is what I'm not really that interested in, especially I'm just sick of it, after COVID and all that crap. So I really do appreciate you, Katie, for praying for me and mine. And it's an uphill battle, obviously, but your prayers are very, very powerful, very powerful. So I appreciate that. And
now is that
you and yours are in my prayers too, okay? So I think we've seen enough of WurzelRoot. I get the idea. He's
convince people
basically really into politics. He's got a YouTube over here too. What kind of videos does he got? Is this his YouTube? I should subscribe to him. So basically, this is old content from 10 months ago, a year ago. And seems like he just talks about politics. I prefer when he's just doing banter, silly banter. But he's funny. So, yeah, what I've got going on... Here, let me put myself back on the screen here. What I've got going on is... We've got some guests coming up. I've had some pretty cool guests recently. And coming up, I'm just looking at my calendar now. Coming up, I have Tice, who's a really interesting Protestant. He's got a canon. He's got his very own canon. He's one of the few Protestants I know who actually has the balls, if you'll forgive my language, to make his own canon of scripture. And I think every Protestant should do that. I think every Protestant should make their own canon of scripture. Use your private judgment and come up with your own canon, like my friend Tice did. I've interviewed him once. He reached out recently and he said he wants to talk to me again because he's made further developments. So he's putting in the elbow grease as a good private judgment Christian. And he's a nice kid, and he's woefully wrong, obviously, about almost everything. But, to the extent that he loves God and he believes in the Trinity and the Incarnation, I'm not exactly sure what he believes, but, that's, he's on his way. He's on his way. So, Tice, that's coming up 4 p.m. on the 30th. That's tomorrow. So, right after that, at 6 p.m., I've got Richard Barrett, who is the partner in crime of Enoch, that Syrian, is that how you say it? Syrian? He's from the region of Iraq. He's that rapper, that Catholic rapper that I had on recently. Fawaz, his name is Fawaz. Excellent guest. And this is his partner in crime, Richard Barrett. So that's happening also tomorrow. And then on Friday, I've got my young friend from Toronto, Brandon Danilitian or Danilitian. I don't know how you pronounce that. Really nice Catholic on fire for Christ and his church. And then next Friday, I've got, well, hold on now. Next Friday, the 5th, is Brandon. And then on that Sunday, I've got Ezra, who's, I met him because of Lion Farm. Lion Farm's a really cool guy, Protestant, on fire for the Apostolic Church and early church history, these sorts of things. Lion Farm, if you haven't checked out Lion Farm's interview on my channel, go and check it out. He's a really cool guy. And, you know, I was trying my hardest to get a word in edgewise to press the issue of authority, because the authority issue will bring you home to the Catholic Church 100%. If you're honest with yourself and you dig deep and you ask the tough questions about authority, you will end up Catholic, whether you like it or not. Most people that come into the church, they didn't want to. They did not want to be Catholic, but they were compelled by the truth, you know, and it all hinges on authority. So Ezra, I think, believes in some sort of maybe Jews for Jesus kind of thing. I'm not sure. It's always a surprise. I never really investigate too much into my guests beforehand because I like to be surprised. I like to be in the moment with my guest, discovering who is this human being, what do they believe, and why do they believe it. So I'm not going to dig too deep into Ezra, but that's coming up on the 7th, on the Sunday. And then on the following Friday, the 12th, I've got Robert Blyton. I have absolutely no idea who this is. Robert Blyton. I'm curious now. I should look this up. Who is Robert Blyton? Let me take a look in my email exchange and see if I exchanged something with him. Blyton. Excuse the rambling format of this meta episode. This is how I roll. Okay, he's Catholic. Oh, Rob from Avoiding Babylon. Oh, cool. Okay. So that's cool, because I had an excellent guest on last night who was the other half. It was Anthony of Avoiding Babylon. Now I'm going to have Rob of Avoiding Babylon on Friday the 12th. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm excited about that. And then I've got pretty much the whole week off from podcasts, and the following Friday the 19th, I've got Alan Smith. Now, who is Alan Smith? And how did I invite him on? Alan Smith. Who is this guy? Alan Smith with two L's. Alan Smith. Okay. Ah, okay. It's a fellow Canadian from Midland, Ontario, and he was recommended by my friend and guest, two-time guest, Steve Cunningham from Sensus Fidelium. So I think this guy, amazing. Yeah, this guy is going to be very interesting to talk to. Alan Smith is Executive Director of the Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen Mission Society of Canada. Wow. Let me put this up on the screen, if I can, and take a look. Cool. So yeah, this is exciting. Alan Smith. Mission statement. It is not only souls that have to be saved, it is society. It is not only souls that have to be sanctified, it is bodies as well. Archbishop Fulton Sheen. So that's the mission statement. Not much of a mission statement, I have to say. It leaves a lot to the imagination. Catechesis, mission to the family, parish life, mission to seminarians. Okay, there's a welcome page. The work of Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen Mission Society is under the patronage of Our Lady of the Cape. We rely on her prayerful and motherly intercession to guide and protect our work. Visit the shrine page here. So there's a lot going on with this Fulton Sheen mission work. A lot going on. So Katie's asking me to ask him if he knows Dr. Peter Howard. Okay, will do. I'll do that. Let me see if I can put myself back on the screen here. And so, just for fun, let me look up Dr. Peter Howard. If you weren't so shy, Katie, you could just hop on here and talk to me in real life and we could have a flowing conversation. Dr. Howard runs the FSI YouTube channel. We do the rosary and his apostolate is for Sheen's cause. No way. Wow. Ah, cool. So, very cool. Yes, I'll definitely ask him about Dr. Peter Howard then. So I've got some cool guests that I've had recently. I've got some cool guests coming up. And I'm going to be a guest actually on the Saturday, the 20th of May on Enoch, or Fawaz, on Enoch's show, which is called Getting to Know You. I should look that up right now. Okay, bear with me. It's the Getting to Know You series. Enoch. Is there a playlist thing for Enoch here? Let me just check. I'll put this up on the screen. Hide myself. Playlists. Okay. Is there a playlist? Can I click on playlists? No playlists. Okay, any live shows? Getting to Know Brick. So this is the Getting to Know You series. I don't want to learn too much about it because I'm going to be on it. I'm going to appear on this on the 20th. So I really don't want to prepare myself by actually watching one to know. I don't want to know in advance. Katie says she subscribed to the Catholic rapper Enoch, so that's cool. Yeah, pretty good, very good music. And anything that promotes the Catholic faith or Christianity in general or monotheism, you know, in these trying times is good in my book, but the music itself is very good. His voice is good. His writing is good. So I'm not gonna spoil alert by figuring out the format too much. I don't want to watch any of this, but I do want to see who was on. Okay, so we have Brick, Jesse Romero. I know about him. William Albrecht. I don't know him. Connor from Plotlines. Joe Bucca, Bug Hall. Robbie Brown, I don't know these people. The Religious Hippie. Dr. Taylor Marshall, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Megan Wells, John Sablan. Angela Erickson. Elliot Hulse, no way. Cool, I had him on my podcast. Timothy Gordon, I think he's okay. I'm not sure. I don't watch him, but I think he's okay. Margot, okay. Catholic hip hop. Are Rob and Anthony even real? Who is Michael Lofton? I had Michael Lofton on. That was awkward. That was really awkward because he can't deal with my personality type. He's too nice and sweet, and I'm just too weird and messed up. So that was awkward watching him have to deal with me. That was not too good. Oh, here we have Steve Cunningham on the Getting to Know You show. He was one of the first. He might have been the first. And so on and so forth. So it seems like a cool bunch of guests that they've had on. And another thing I stumbled upon was Kevin Non-Trad Cath with CJ. My recent guest CJ. That was interesting. So how do I find that? How many videos has he done recently? Oh, I know how I can find it. Just type in CJ. There he is. Yeah, so this guy was on my podcast.
Their Bible study thing was not a Bible study. It was a...
I think that
Oh, look,
answer,
here's my question.
School is famous, and it's not about the answers. It's about the work. I had a test like that where wrong.
So I've interviewed both these guys, Kevin and CJ.
And so and what were wrong. My intuition that lets me
with aimlessly seeking are more don't in Romer. That
yeah. I wouldn't rather than new atheism. It's just
I like both these guys. Kevin is an ex-Catholic. Katie says she doesn't like Lofton. Yeah, well, the thing I like about Michael Lofton is that he defends the living magisterium. That's my main trip with online Catholics. It's like either you submit to the living authority, the living magisterium, or you don't, and that's pretty much, how I classify online Catholics. And so Lofton, I think he used to be a rad trad. Now he's defending the living magisterium, warts and all, and I appreciate that. So that's my take. No offense to you, Katie, if you don't like the living magisterium, but that's kind of like where I draw the line on like good guys versus bad guys.
it's kind of different. More question that ecclesial question in
now
there.
here's my question.
Really if you wouldn't mind one more question, it's from David Ross. So I figure let's get that last question in there. How do you think original sin wounds and confuses our Christian ecclesiology?
Yeah, so I think it was a good question. It didn't really get answered. I asked this question to CJ or Christopher, and he just basically said ecclesiology doesn't matter. Basically, that was his answer. But just hold on, let me respond to Katie with a ha laugh. But to me, the reason that our ecclesiology is all messed up is because of original sin and of course actual sin too. But it's very important to me because ecclesiology is important to me because of Christian unity. Sorry, I can't multitask. Just typing to my friend Katie. So because of original sin, we're confused. And just think about the Tower of Babel, and how languages got confused. That's one powerful example of how sin brings confusion. There's a punitive aspect to our confusion when it comes to understanding the church, understanding the scripture, understanding tradition, understanding the Pope, understanding the councils, understanding the synods, and all of the confusion. All of the confusion and every evil stems from sin, original and actual. So that's the point of my question here. And what I was trying to do with CJ Rice is to get him to think about the confused and wounded nature of the church in this fallen world, and how the only way we're going to come together as Christians, the only way we're going to come together and heal our wounds is through unity, seeking that unity, making that Christian unity the top priority, the number one top priority for bringing as many souls to heaven as possible. It's the most important thing. And Christ built one church. He didn't build 40,000 churches. So I want to get non-Catholic Christians thinking about ecclesiology and thinking about taking a step back and taking a top-down view of ecclesiology, a bird's eye view or a God's eye view. Take the God's eye view if you can. Try to approach the God's eye view of this fallen world and our church in this fallen world. And when we speak to Protestants, for example, about ecclesiology, when we ask about the church, what is the church? Or we ask, what is the canon of Scripture? My past and future guest, Tice, is suffering from the confusion that stems from sin. When he, using his private judgment, comes up with his own canon of Scripture, which contains only 5 books, 2 of which aren't even in the proper Christian canon. He's drawn on other books outside of the canon, non-canonical books, and he's brought them in. And it really is fascinating. But my point here is that we will never have unity so long as people are submitting to the confusion and making an idol of their confusion and admiring their confusion and being proud of their confusion. And this is not to put down my friend Tice. It's not to put him down. I too am confused. And, I too am in error about most things, but I submit to the church, and Christ and his church are one. So that's really what I emphasize on my podcast and when I talk to Christians generally, is unity. Take a step back, question your assumptions about your worldview. And I'm speaking to a Christian, so they might find that odd for me to suggest that they actually doubt or question their own axiomatic assumptions about their Christianity. But that's what you have to do, because a lot of the axiomatic assumptions about their Christianity, those assumptions are wrong. They're false. So I am in a much safer position because I do not use private judgment to decide what the canon is or to decide how to interpret the Bible. Although, we are free to read the fallible translations of the fallible copies of the fallible manuscripts. We're allowed to go to the bookstore and buy a fallible, quote unquote, Bible, and we're allowed to read it and seek edification and prayerfully go through it and see what we can glean with God's help. Yes, we're allowed to do that, but that's not a substitute for, it's not a substitute for our submission to the authoritative teachings of Christ's church, right? And we can't enshrine our own understanding as if it were infallible. And I've actually never met a non-Catholic Christian who claimed infallibility, right? So that alone is a slam dunk. Well, you're not claiming infallibility, but I am. So I think I win, right? I think I just won the argument because you are not claiming infallibility and I am. I'm not claiming it for myself, although I do enjoy a passive infallibility by submitting to the infallible church. I am endowed with a passive infallibility, which means that I can pass along. I can point my finger to what the church infallibly teaches. That's called passive infallibility. So I can speak to a non-Catholic Christian or even a Catholic Christian, and I can point them to the infallible dogmas of the church, and I am exercising a form of passive infallibility. You may laugh at that and think it's not much of a participation, but it's still useful. I would not be Catholic today were it not for the passive infallibility of, the dozens of Catholics that I met that were pointing me to Christ and his church and his saints. So that passive infallibility is very, very powerful, right? It's like you're just pointing the way. This is the way. And it's like on the Titanic, when the Titanic was sinking, you are doing an invaluable service when you point people, just direct them. First of all, alert them that we have hit an iceberg. We are in danger. We are going down. You will perish unless you get in the lifeboats. So just like in the days of Noah was pointing to God's prophecy and saying that the end is near and get in the ark and time's running out, etc., and so on. And people laughed at him, and they didn't get in. So this passive infallibility is a very, very powerful thing. All of the prophets used that charism of passive infallibility to direct people to God, to direct them into the one true church. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. I've done half an hour. I told my wife I would only do half an hour and I'd wrap it up. But thank you, Katie, for joining me here. And thank you for everyone listening. And I'll be back tomorrow. I've got 2 guests, including my young Protestant friend, Tyson. Don't miss that. It's going to be very exciting. And so as usual, take good care and we'll talk soon. Okay, God bless.